Redstone has been changed. Currently, I'm playing in Minecraft 1.15.2, and this situation right here is showing the redstone lamp being off. Now, if I quickly transition to the latest snapshot, you can see, firstly, the redstone dot is now gone. We no longer have dots. We are back to having crosses like the old days of redstone. But also, this redstone lamp is being powered, simply because if we take a look here, the new redstone logic is that this little bit of redstone right here, this tiny bit, is pointing into this block, which means that this block should be powered and this redstone lamp is on. Target blocks also have new functionality in that they redirect redstone signal, and because target blocks are solid blocks, we can actually use these to force redstone lines to power blocks, to power components, which is exciting. That is something completely new, which I imagine is going to be really, really useful. So, let's see what we can build with it. And I hate to start things off on a bad note, but the first thing that I've built is actually something that used to work in Minecraft 1.15, but now doesn't work anymore. This is a Redcoder system, and essentially it gives an individual redstone output dependent on the signal strength that runs into it. So as I twist this item frame right here, we get a different signal strength running through the system, and we're meant to get a redstone torch turning on, but we're getting nothing, and that's because this redstone dust right here is powering this repeater, whereas before, only this repeater would be powered. That is... okay, I wonder if we can do anything about that. I wonder if we can actually make use of the new target block behavior to make this work. We might actually be able to do something quite interesting here. Yes! Yes, I think I've done something smart. That seems to be working. Oh, how fantastic is that? Okay, so what we've got is we've got two redstone lines right here. We have one that goes up like this, which has a signal strength that is one less than the redstone line that runs through here, which is going into all the target blocks, which means that we get a fully functional Redcoder. This thing is now functioning. It is giving a redstone output depending on redstone signal strength. So these new features, they broke something, but then they simultaneously fixed it in one swoop, and I like that. With that being said, if it wasn't for this new redstone behavior, this new super small system would actually function, but unfortunately, it doesn't, due to this redstone dust powering this block, even though that's not powered. Do I like this new I think I might just have to get used to it. But this still seems weird to me. Regardless of the new redstone features, please somebody send help. I've become obsessed with Redcoders. But after spending far too long scratching my head trying to make this thing function, I finally managed to pull it off by swapping out the repeater that was here with a comparator. So right now, it's powered by a signal strength of 1. This has got a signal strength of 1 running into the side of it. 1 minus 1 equals 0, which means that this thing isn't giving an output. But then when we increase the signal strength of 2 running into it, 2 minus 1 equals 1, which means we are getting an output, which means that now the first part of the Redcoder is working, which means the rest of the Redcoder is working, and now we have a new super small design thanks to the new mechanic. Now please, can we move on from Redcoders, because I'm sure only about 4 of you actually find them interesting, and to the 4 of you who do find them interesting, I appreciate you. I just got excited because I thought this was a new really compact way of making piston walls, but now that I think about it, not much has changed here. I mean, I could just... This still exists, so I suppose... yeah, that hasn't really added much. I've just realised something. This fixes a problem that has plagued my 3x3 piston doors for years. So here is the standard design for a 3x3 piston door. As you can see, everything is working apart from that top piston up at the top there. Now, there has always been, okay, ever since the dawn of making these things, there has been a dilemma. You either place a block here and have redstone dust on top, but that increases the height of the piston door. It makes the door ever so slightly bigger in the dimensions, which is something that us redstone people lose sleep about. Or alternatively, you add in a repeater that runs into a block, and then you have the redstone power the piston, and that does it, but then your door is ever so slightly out of sync. Well, now that we have the target block, problem solved. Problem solved. It's not out of sync. There's no extra block on top. Oh, 2013 me would be going crazy right now. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the redstone community. So I thought it would be interesting to just tackle something like a triple piston extender and see if I could make use of the new target block functionality on the inside of it. And I have. And it's so useful. It's so useful. You know, there are some redstone changes that are made that are like an entirely new component, which obviously introduces a whole bunch of new possibilities. For example, when slime blocks were introduced, that was like a whole new area of redstone. Then when honey blocks were introduced and they didn't attach to slime blocks, it's not like a completely revolutionary change, but it's a big addition in that it solves a bunch of problems and makes a bunch of things that weren't possible before possible. And that's kind of how I feel about these target block things, because they open up a few doors that weren't open before. For example, down at the bottom here, I actually needed to make use of a target block, okay, because I have a piece of redstone dust that is being powered, and I wanted it to power this block right here, and also power this piston as well. Now, I simply would not have been able to do that without target blocks. This target block is redirecting the redstone and also allowing this piston to be powered. Block is powered, piston is powered, everything works, and everything is fully functional. And this triple piston extender actually works really nicely. I've also used them a bunch here as well to create the pulse extenders and things. I mean, this is just a handy addition. This isn't the world's best triple piston extender. This is definitely not the most compact or anything like that. But this design is made possible through target blocks. I, for one, am very, very excited about these little things. These old things, I mean, I say these old things as if they're ancient. No, these are a relatively new design. They came around when observers were introduced into the game. As you can see, absolutely tiny compared to original vertical double piston extenders. They used to be the size of a room. But even smaller now, look at this. They're just 2 blocks wide. They have gotten slightly taller, but this redstone line just runs along the bottom. It runs into the target blocks just like that. It allows us to power those bottom pistons without the need for repeaters. And everything is working. Now I'm going to move away from target blocks quickly now, because they've actually made another change to Minecraft Redstone that is an interesting one. Powering pistons from underneath with redstone lines a little bit like this has always been a bit of a strange situation, because before this update, the line would have to be at least 2 blocks long for it to actually power the piston. It was all very strange. Well, that's now all been changed, so now we can actually create systems like this, where these redstone lines will actually power these pistons. And that means that let's just add that little extra one in there. Things like this now function. So you can see that we are powering all of the pistons from underneath with a redstone line going up like that. Now beforehand, obviously we'd either have to power them from the side, which is bigger, or from above like this, which obviously when you start getting into these areas is going to start creating problems. So that's a pretty welcome change too. And I'm sure it can be used for far more than just hidden staircases. I'm back over with the target block now because I just think it's an interesting addition to the game in terms of the way that it functions. And I'm playing around with just powering things that are flush with the floor. And, I mean, this is interesting. So we have redstone lines that run alongside these target blocks that are powering all the redstone lamps. And then when this runs out of redstone signal strength, we can just swap sides and then run along like this. It's still only 3 blocks wide. We don't get any redstone canoodling happening. It's quite a simple solution. And this is a tiny bit more complicated, I guess you could say, but it's even slimmer and it works just as well. So if we flick this lever, you can see all of the redstone lamps switch on, and then when we flick the lever off, all of them switch off. The thing that is tricky about these normally is that you have repeaters, and then generally the redstone lines begin to self-power and things. But look, here we're once again making use of the target blocks, redirecting redstone signals to power redstone torches that otherwise wouldn't have been able to be powered. I mean, this is cool stuff. This is like a silent revolution in redstone. It's a tiny, the most subtle change, but it's opened the door to some really interesting innovations. That makes it sound like I'm calling this thing an innovation. This isn't an innovation, but I imagine it's going to enable a whole bunch of cool things. I've been thinking an awful lot about this system right here that I built right at the very start of the video, and how cool it would be now that we have this new addition to the game, where the redstone actually powers the block. Wouldn't it be really cool if we had directional solidness? Now, what this essentially means is that we've got a stair block right here. This side would be considered a solid block. So, for example, the redstone, if this was powered, it would power this comparator. But then on none of the other sides, it would be considered solid. I don't know if that's possible to program with Minecraft's current code. I have no idea. but that seems like it would be really useful. It would almost be like the target block. It's a tiny change that I think would enable a lot. Auto dropper systems tend to be pretty big and bulky for what they do, and if you have something like an automatic farm that's just producing a large amount of items and you don't mind there being some items sat in the dropper, then this could be a pretty good solution because it's absolutely tiny and also ridiculously fast, and it barely uses any resources. I've just thought, this allows us to run a monostable circuit off the edge of a line of redstone. I mean, this has to, of course it works. This, I don't even really need to test this, but of course it's going to work. Yeah. Oh, that's useful. So we could have a line of redstone with monostables running off, doing their things. We use monostable circuits all the time. Man, this is going to be one of those things. This is going to be one of those features that it's going to take a while. It's one of those things. It's going to take a while for me to get used to all the applications for it. Right now, I'm just kind of finding things out as I go along. I think you get the picture. This has a lot of potential applications, lots of areas in which it can compact things down, and lots of areas in which it can speed things up because we no longer require a repeater to power a block when it comes to redstone lines and things. I am definitely interested to see what the redstone community does with this, and I'm going to be doing plenty more experimentation in the future. But anyway, really do hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! I love it when we get new redstone features, I really do. Nothing excites me more. I woke up this morning, it's currently, I started recording this thing at 7:30 in the morning, it's now 12:30, and I woke up and I was like, it's redstone time, I'm gonna get to work on this, I'm gonna find out what happens. It's cool. It's cool. I can't wait to see what people do with it.